Our Black Forest cake is a rich chocolate cake layered with whipped mascarpone cream, cherries, and topped with chocolate ganache and more cherries. It's inspired by the flavors of Germany's Black Forest region. Ahoy, Earth! Time to park this beauty right back where I found it. Captain Bread Hook entered the Earth's atmosphere. Yeah? That's awesome. It'll be nice to have her back. I hope she makes it this time. Sift together 5 2/3 cup of flour, 1 2/3 cup of cocoa powder, and 3 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, 5 teaspoons of baking powder. Look, there's so much of it, we had to get in there with a spatula. Add 4 cups and 4/25 of sugar. We just made that last cup a heaping cup. And 1 1/4 teaspoons of kosher salt. 2 1/2 teaspoons of espresso powder. You won't taste the espresso. It just enhances the chocolate flavor. So don't worry. Mix that in well too. You're not slipping through my fingers this time, Bread Hook. Prepare for your doom. In a separate bowl, combine everything but the hot coffee. That's 1 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, 2 1/2 cups of sour cream, 5 eggs, and here's our trick to getting everything to room temperature safely. Top it off with warm water. Your water should be the same temperature as your dishwater or you'll cook your eggs. Whisk it all together. And talk about bride's cake and groom's cake. These are not like a new trend. Our original copy of the 1931 Household Searchlight recipe book has them listed on page 312. The bride's cake is an orange cake and the groom's cake is a fruit cake. Add it in a half at a time. Let it blend together and add 1 1/4 cups of hot coffee. The hot coffee is going to help the cocoa bloom into its glory. Notice Big Val raises the top head every once in a while. There's so much batter that it's possible to overmix the bottom of the bowl while waiting for the top to mix in. Raising the beater helps prevent overmixing. We could get way technical here, but we already did the math for you. We just filled them a little over halfway to 2/3 and weighed each pan to make sure they were even. Those are cake strips around the pans. They're just strips of fabric soaked in cold water, and it changes the baking process so you get flat tops every time. And bake for 35 to 40 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. I've prepared a little surprise for you. Let's see how you can handle this. Ha 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 ha! Try dodging these, you overcooked crouton. Let's get started on the chocolate ganache frosting. It's real simple. It just takes forever to cool down. In a metal bowl, metal doesn't retain heat like glass does. Measure out 20 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. Add in 16 ounces of steaming heavy cream. We made ours a little bit more chocolatey. Give it a stir and let the hot cream melt the chocolate for 5 minutes. Stir it until all the chocolate is melted, and if you don't get it hot enough to melt all the chocolate, heat up only a portion and add that back in. And to speed it up on the cooling down process, you can put it in the refrigerator or even the freezer. Just give it a stir every 5 or 10 minutes so it cools evenly. Oh, and let me tell you this about the bride and the groom. It's so interesting. The bride is an ordained minister and the groom is Hindu. Right, how does that work? Well, the Hindu religion, boiled down into simplicity, believes in one God just like Christians, but they believe God appears in different forms. Makes sense, huh? Hey, look! This model comes with the Romulan cloaking system. Hey! No! You may have dodged the mines, but you won't escape this! Then we make the whipped mascarpone cream for in between the layers to hold the cherries. Beat 16 ounces of mascarpone cream until it's nice and smooth. Switch to the whisk attachment and slowly add in 3 cups of heavy whipped cream. Add in 1 cup of powdered sugar. The cornstarch in the powdered sugar is going to help stabilize and stiffen it up some. 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract. That's impossible! Where did you go? Oh, and add 1/8 of a teaspoon to 2/3 cup of the cherry juice from the cans. We'll use this for brushing on the layers for extra moisture and goodness. Now we'll see what happens when you mess with me. Time to fry, Captain Bread Hook. You're really turning up the heat, huh? Now we put it all together. We'll do the top 8-inch first. It gets a cake board because it sits on balls over top the first layer. Brush on your cherry syrup. It's not soaking it in enough, so we poke holes with the chopstick to really get it in deep. Spread your whipped mascarpone cream in a nest and make the walls high enough to hold an abundance of dark sweet cherries. We use both dark and tart. Spread a little bit on top and place the top layer upside down so you can get those sharp corners with the frosting. This layer was also soaked in cherry syrup. Then crumb coat the whole thing. Pop that puppy in the refrigerator and let the cream stiffen up. You do the same for the bottom 10-inch layer. Ours is chilled and ready for the ganache frosting. Isn't this the coolest frosting? It's so rich too. Cover it and the top tier and place them back in the refrigerator until you're ready to assemble the cake and the final touches. Time to cool things down a bit. For these pillars, just to make sure they were perfectly spaced, Big Val's folded an 8-inch parchment round in 4s, cut out a hole for the pillar, and marked the spots on the cake. We covered the balls in ganache like bark. And the rest of them? For the chocolate bark, we melted 6.6 ounces of dark chocolate. We wanted some contrast between the semi-sweet ganache and the bark. Spread it out on a piece of parchment about 1/16 to an 1/8 thick. Let it cool a moment and roll up the parchment paper. It sets up in about 15 minutes in the refrigerator. And we melt the ganache to stick it on. You know, there is no right way or wrong way to decorate a cake. The groom was so happy and he gave us artistic license. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be. No, 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 no. Back so soon, Captain Breadhook? Thought you might have got lost in space for good this time. You know me, Willifrida. Always find me way back to the best kitchen in the galaxy. If you enjoyed this show, let us know in the comments and boop that bell.